Now, data plays an increasingly important role in the coverage of sport worldwide, and racing in Great Britain is making important strides of its own with the introduction of sectional timing. A groundbreaking collaboration between At the Races, Arena Racing Company and Total Performance Data has added a new dimension to the 4th annual All-Weather Championships. For the very first time, racing professionals and enthusiasts alike have access to revealing statistics at all 4 Arena all-weather tracks. That's here at Lingfield, Wolverhampton, Southwell and Newcastle. Sectional timing offers a valuable insight into the performance of every single horse and is available on the At the Races website in a format that is simple to access and interpret. Now enthusiasts can examine the run pattern of an individual horse and watch the race replay in a few simple clicks. Matthew Taylor, the new Media and Innovation Director for At the Races, took on the challenge of converting race data into a user-friendly format.
Well, we thought it was very important to take a service that would be both suitable for aficionados of sectional times and those who are newcomers to the concept. And we took the traditional sectional times grid, which I don't know about you, but I've always seen a grid of numbers in black and white, and I've never really truly known how to interpret those times. And we decided to include data from TPD that had things like positional markers, a comparison with the optimum times, and colour-coded so that users could see fairly quickly about horses that were, whether they'd raced strongly, too strong, too far back, whether they were near the front or not. So we thought that that would be the right approach to adopt. There's been a great deal of scepticism in the past about sectional times, and I'm sure that's because they've been something of a dark art. And we wanted to take that and make them more accessible to the average enthusiastic amateur of racing. We took our lead from the Tour de France and how they display their various grades of pace, and it uses a colour-coded spectrum from blue through to green, yellow, orange, red to indicate cold, slow speeds and fast speeds, and that gives the user an indication of how the horses are travelling at the time. We work with Simon Rowlands, who's the foremost expert in sectional timing in the UK, and he helped us to develop a series of optimum energy distribution figures, in effect, which we then convert into the times of the race. And those figures take into account course configuration and topography, so that they give an ideal optimum that each horse ought to have been racing at in order to run most efficiently. We've obviously created the sectional timing grid, and that shows a pace analysis bar along the top to give an overall picture of how the race developed, whether it was run generally slowly early on and then quick towards the end. And then we've also created a separate sectional tools tab, which is more of an experimental page, I guess, and that contains 4 key different types of metric to look at the same data. So this includes things like an energy distribution chart. This shows how the horse raced compared to the optimum time within a chart rather than looking at raw figures. We've also done some sectional speed boxes that show the speeds that the horse travelled at each part of the race, and that's in miles per hour. And miles per hour is a concept that we can all understand. So rather than looking just at raw seconds, we're looking at actual speeds that we can all understand and understand the difference between those. The other thing that we've done is created our own efficiency grade, and that's based on a spectrum from A through to F. A horse running at A has run pretty much the most efficient it can do. A horse running at F has either gone off way too fast or finished too slowly. And the last thing we've done is use the traditional finishing speed percentage that sectional aficionados will be familiar with, and that calculates a percentage of effort within the finishing sectional, if you like, which for a mile is the last 2 furlongs. And all of that also generates an icon that we've developed called the flame icon, and you should look out for that because that shows horses that were finishing strongly off a weak pace. So that's something new that we've developed there.
So how does sectional timing work? Will Duff Gordon of Total Performance Data created the concept and explains how the data is captured and processed.
What we've tried to do is come up with a system that's very portable and affordable, so that it can exist on as many racetracks, in the UK and around the world as possible, so that timing data can become, as normal as a finishing time data. There are some great systems out there right now, but they're only at the, sort of some of the bigger racetracks. So you've got a sort of data set which is not consistently used every single day. So what I've tried to do is kind of choose a really good technology team and come up with a completely new way of doing it, so that every course can get the benefits of this kind of information. Essentially, we have GPS sort of tags. So there's a GPS box in the number cloth for every single horse. We've developed those boxes just outside Cambridge. They're going to get smaller over time with technology, so they're light and small. Every horse is carrying one. They're obliged to in the rules of racing. And each of those boxes is getting a position fix from the satellites. So we can get, a serious level of accuracy using a box that has no infrastructure really on the track, but it's just getting a position update from the satellites. What it does then is it then has to fire its position and its sort of speed back to the grandstand so that it can go to power graphics, broadcast enhancements, and the At the Races website. So there's a radio circuit board in there and a GPS circuit board in there. Sport is being kind of massively revolutionised by the use of information and data. With Hawkeye in tennis, snickometers in crickets, all the rugby players are wearing GPS trackers behind their shirts. You know how all rugby coaches are looking at laptops at half, and they're substituting players based upon raw fact as to how far they've all run and how far they know in training they can run. I think racing could tell its story a lot better by providing some of those stories that unfold during the race. You and I know who Galileo is and Sadler's Wells is. Oh, that's aging me a bit. But, we follow the form and everything. But if you're just a millennial and you're a very mobile-driven kind of person, you want miles per hour speeds. You want, fastest acceleration, fastest deceleration. We might get some F1 fans coming in. So I'm quite passionate that racing can kind of reach a wider audience if we sort of digitise it and make it more suitable for mobile. So we're going to be showing kind of, pace graphs after every race. So at the moment, Matthew's got some great stuff out there. He's got some pace graphs, but we want to sort of show how did the winner win that race. It's all about using your energy most efficiently. We're physical creatures, and unless you're Frankel, you have to throw down your ability in the most efficient manner. And there's some great stories to be told on, did you accelerate at the right moment? Did you decelerate the least? And it's very exciting. We need a bit more precision, I think, in this sport.
As they make the final turn, Good Omen against the inside rail, around the outside, time to steady, swings out just a little bit wide. Sultan Baybars with much to do, then Leopard, and last of all is Ronnie Lane. They're inside the final furlong now, and it is Good Omen who railed like a trap-one greyhound, and he is sprinting clear. Well, he drifted like the Kentucky before the off, but he's going to romp home. Good Omen to win.
It's been fascinating for us jockeys to look at, the times and how fast and slow we went from start to finish, and especially the latter stages of the races. And it's good reading. You can look through the race and see maybe how slow they actually, because it's hard to sometimes judge from the naked eye how fast or slow they go, and you can go back and look through and say, well, our horse sure was at a disadvantage because he went slow, start, finish, whatever. It's definitely a big help to all around.
I'm 100% for them. I think it can only be a good thing for the whole sport, especially for owners and trainers and for us, and obviously for the betting public. I think it's more important for the owner watching it. The commentator might say, they don't appear to go fast because one or two might be pulling, and sometimes that can be not really accurate. We can think that we've gone a nice pace, and now with the times that'll back it up.
Ed Arkle is the clerk of the course at Lingfield, where sectional timing was initially trialled and launched.
We've had it here at Lingfield now for all our flat meetings for about a year. Obviously the All-Weather Championships last year were there, and it's great. It seems to be a really good, accurate system, and from our point of view, hassle-free too. I think the days of people having to clock things off the telly really are probably, if they're not past us, they ought to be, and this is a great way to do it. Certainly when we were showing the jockeys the data on launch day here, they were fascinated in looking at the sectionals, how fast they were going, and also their positions in a race, which find a horse might have been beaten, but if it's gone that bit further, there might be an improvement next time. It works really well, and as we said, not only have you got the sectional timings per furlong, but how far the horses have actually run in the race, their position during a race, and it must have significant implications for both in-running betting. We talked about tactics in races, and obviously the more data is available, the better. And I suppose, if you can put the data over the top of the pictures and look at what's going on and the speeds the horses are running, the in-running betting people must be fascinated.
I was a complete newcomer to sectional times when I started this product, and I think the things that we're kind of looking for are, look at the pace analysis bar. That'll give you an overall picture of how the race was won, and that's a good place to start. When you're looking at the times grid and the colour coding, try to look for things that are against the ordinary. So if you see, generally horses racing evenly in yellow squares, and you see one that's got a blue square, then that might mean that the horse was badly checked within the race. If you're looking at a race, you see lots of red squares towards the start, that could suggest that horses have gone off rather fast. So look for things that are out of the ordinary, because they can identify arguably race winning and also race losing moves. A good idea is to familiarise yourself generally with the nature of the way races are run on the all-weather tracks. So at Lingfield, for example, quite often we see a slow or very steady pace which builds up into a fast finish, particularly from 2 furlongs to 1 furlong out. Whereas at Southwell, they go stronger early, and quite often they're going very slowly at the very end of the race. So if you can do that, you can get a picture of which horse is going to be suited to which tracks. Last of all, also consult the tools, in particular the efficiency grade, and look for that flame icon that we've talked about, because they're just little things that help to consolidate maybe the impression you might get from the sectional times grid. And the one thing I would say is, don't use it alone. Use it as in conjunction with things such as the archive video. The idea is that by looking at the times grid first, you might get an impression of what to look out for when reviewing the archive video. So you don't have to watch it twice. You can just see, what you're looking for and see it from there. You can never have too much information, and anything that's additional to your understanding of a race has got to help. I think obviously it needs to be interpreted in a particular way. ARC and TPD have done a fantastic job to get this live and get this available to all viewers and users, and it's something that I hope the industry as a whole embraces, and that in another decade's time we'll just accept sectional times as part and parcel of looking at races, looking at form study.
In an era of online betting, when punters expect fast and accessible form data, this truly is a groundbreaking development. And with the promise of further technological advances, the sectional timing that you have access to right here and now can only become more informative in the coming months and years.